Over the last few months, the Brendan branch line of the Northwest Railway had become quite busy indeed. Edward, Boco and the China Clay twins were being worked off their wheels, and Sheffield had been sent by the Fat Controller to help out. It wasn't just the engines who were busy either. With all the goods being sent and received, the boats at Brendan Harbour had also needed extra help. A new tugboat had been ordered by the harbour master, but wouldn't be arriving for a little while. In the meantime, an old harbour switcher had been hired from Harwick Harbour. His name was 10 Cents, and he was a hard worker. He soon made friends with all the engines of the Brendan branch. On the drizzly morning of August 14th, Boco was shunting a train at Brendan Harbour. He had just stopped when 10 Cents came alongside.
Morning, 10 Cents!
Hello, Boco. I'll need those trucks over by Dock D. That's where I'll be putting the Capaldi when it comes in.
Alright, I'll sort that out.
It's not due for an hour or so yet, so you'll want to leave them out of the way.
Thank you. Are you alright, 10 Cents? If you don't mind my saying so. You seem a bit down today.
I just got some bad news. Nothing for you lot to worry about.
Why don't you let us be the judge of that?
10 Cents had only been working at Brendan for a few weeks, but he'd gotten to know the engines well enough to realise that Boco was trying to help.
Well, it's just... There's just no more contracts coming my way after I'm done here. That's all.
I understand. And I know how you feel. Knowing you're unwanted is always unpleasant, to say the least. Well, that's no reason to give up hope.
Easy for you to say. A relatively modern diesel engine like you.
Diesel engines like me and my brothers, to be precise, were in the same situation as you from day one. Being unwanted, I mean.
Really?
Really. Our engine was an experimental design, and not a very successful one. My brothers and I were perceived as unreliable and problematic. It wasn't good for us at all.
So, how did you end up staying here then?
It's quite a story.
Boco began, and he thought back to a certain day in 1965. It had not been a good day for Boco. He had broken down on the main line. Despite being able to struggle to the next station, he hadn't been able to complete his run. Needless to say, this had caused delay and disruption. His repairs were finished that evening, but that wasn't the end of it.
Broken down again, Boco! Another delay we didn't have to have.
If I hadn't cleared the down line, you would have been delayed a lot longer.
Boco replied angrily. He'd made sure to get clear of the main line before giving up and waiting for a rescue.
You still caused a delay. I don't know. You Metrovics are more trouble than you're worth.
Steady on, D199.
This is what? The third delay caused by Metrovic this fortnight?
Boco didn't reply. As much as he didn't like it, he couldn't deny that D199 had a point. He was well aware of his class's reputation and shortcomings. In fact, there were already rumours that they may be withdrawn from service soon. The next morning, the foreman arrived at the shed. Boco, you'll be staying here today. Per 7286, you're to take Boco's first goods. It has some urgent shipments on it which cannot afford to be delayed.
Sorry, Boco,
said the steam engine as he departed. Boco didn't reply. This wasn't the first time this had happened.
Even an old steam engine is more reliable than you, Boco.
Shouldn't you have left by now?
I have a special visitor coming to see me.
Special visitor?
The controller of the Northwest region. He needs another engine for his railway.
Oh, Boco replied, and he fell silent. A short while later, a blue car pulled up outside the sheds. A well-dressed gentleman climbed out. He strode over to D199 and introduced himself as Sir Charles Topham Hatt. I'm looking for another engine to work on my branch line to Brendan. We have one steam engine working the line at the moment, and the workload is getting to be more than he can handle on his own.
A steam engine?
Yes, a former furnace railway large as Seagull.
I must ask, sir, is he reliable?
Edward? Oh yes, he's one of the most reliable engines on my railway. D199 shot a look at Boco.
I'm glad to hear it, sir. It's just, I've worked with unreliable engines. The confusion and delay they cause.
Sir Topham's eyes narrowed slightly. Go on, D199.
Take Boco here. Trains were held up for a good 20 minutes yesterday, thanks to him.
Not this again. How long would you have been delayed if I hadn't cleared the main line? A lot longer than 20 minutes, I can say that.
Nonetheless, you did still cause a delay.
Sir Topham looked from one diesel to another. Boco, is it?
That's right, sir. I apologize for my outburst.
That's alright. There's obviously more to this. Could you fill me in?
Sir?
I was asking Boco, D199. Boco recounted his breakdown the previous day, and how he'd made sure to get to a siding and clear the line before stopping. By the time he'd finished, Sir Topham was looking thoughtful. You continued on for 4 miles, you say?
That's correct, sir. I had to ensure I cleared the main line.
On a damaged engine, too.
An unnecessary delay.
Maybe, maybe not. Excuse me for a moment. I must have a word with your foreman. With that, he strode off. Sir Topham returned with the foreman a few minutes later. Boco, I understand this is a regular occurrence for you?
I'm afraid the breakdowns are, sir.
Breakdowns? I was talking about your consideration and your dedication to your duty.
That, I suppose it is, Sir Topham. I never really thought of it like that.
I see. Tell me, Boco, would you like to come to Sodor for a trial run?
You want me, sir?
Boco couldn't believe it, nor could D199.
But you came to see me!
I did, yes, but I must admit, I was not impressed by what I saw. You dragged this Metrovic's breakdown into the conversation, purely to put him down. That sort of snide, smug attitude is not what I want on my railway.
But sir!
Mechanical faults can be rectified. Our number 3 is proof of that. But ego and arrogance, those are things I can do without. Boco here is exactly the type of engine I'm looking for.
What? Unreliable?
Dedicated, D199. The type of engine who'll do his best, despite the situation. Such as getting out of your way yesterday. Sir Topham turned to Boco. Boco, you're to report to Wildnorwester Yard once you're ready to go. I've arranged it all with your foreman.
Yes, sir!
A short while later, Boco departed for Sodor. He soon reached Wellsworth, where a blue tender engine was shunting. The steam engine smiled as Boco entered the yard.
Good morning. You must be Boco. I was told you were coming. My name's Edward.
You're the engine who runs this branch line to Brendan, aren't you?
That's right. I see the Fat Controller's told you a bit about it already.
Fat Controller?
Oh, that's what we call Sir Topham Hatt.
I see. What do you need me to do?
I was due to bring some trucks up here from Brandon Harbour. If you can look after that, it'll save a bit of time.
Certainly. What type of truss?
China clay. They should have been delivered from the quarry by the time you get there.
Delivered from the quarry? Is there another engine on this branch?
Not exactly. The quarry line meets ours at the harbour itself. You'll have the branch to yourself for your run.
With a smile, Boco headed off. He was soon heading along the branch line. It was a pleasant run, and he was able to take it easy. As an unscheduled extra with no following trains, they didn't have to worry about timing too much. But all the same, Boco couldn't help worrying. Yes, he had been picked by Sir Topham Hatt, but this was still a trial run. There was a chance that he could be sent back. He just hoped he wouldn't have too much trouble. When Boco reached the harbour, he looked around curiously. There were some vans and trucks waiting on the sidings, and several open wagons on 2 of the tracks. They were a design that Boco hadn't seen before, and were covered in canvas hoods.
Those must be the China clay trucks Edward mentioned.
Boco's driver checked with one of the harbour workers, who confirmed that those trucks had been brought up from the China clay quarry. Boco quickly shunted the trucks and departed. As he headed out, he thought he heard a steam whistle from the harbour, but it had been very faint, and he thought nothing of it. In fact, he was more worried about his engine. However, he reached the Brendam yard without any problems, to find the Brendam yardmaster waiting for him. There were some trucks there that needed to be taken up to Wellsworth, and the yardmaster asked Boco to do so. Some of these were still being loaded, and so Boco would have to wait for them. Suddenly a short, sharp whistle sounded out. Boco blinked, startled. A small yellow tank engine was stopping next to him.
Do you mind?
Yes, I do. I want my trucks, please.
Boco frowned. He had no idea who this engine was, but he had received clear instructions about these trucks.
These are mine. Go away.
Huh, you're a big bully.
The tank engine disappeared before Boco could reply.
Truck stealer.
Boco jumped. There was the same engine, on the other track.
What the?
He broke off. The engine had gone. Almost immediately, there was a whistle from Boco's right. There was the tank engine again. This went back and forth until Boco's eyes nearly popped out.
Stop! Stop! You're making me giddy!
Now, 2 tank engines chuffed up, one on each track. Boco looked from one to the other.
Are there 2 of you?
Yes, we're twins.
I might have known it.
Bill and Ben, why are you playing here?
We're not playing. We're rescuing trucks.
What do you mean?
Even you don't come into our yard without asking, and you only take the trucks we give you. But this Diesel didn't even ask. He just took the lot.
There is no cause to be rude. This engine is a Metropolitan Vickers Diesel Electric Type 2.
Despite his smile, Boco braced himself for the sneer that usually followed the name of his class.
We're sorry, Mr. Metro Vickers.
Boco grinned, relieved.
Never mind. Call me Boco. I'm sorry I didn't understand about the trucks. But may I ask, how did you know I was a, Diesel?
You left some oil on the tracks where the trucks were.
Oh, I do apologize.
Oh, that's alright.
Bill and Ben, you'd better fetch Boco's trucks.
As the twins scampered away, Edward glanced over at Boco.
There's no harm in them, but they can be maddening at times.
Maddening is the word.
Once he'd been given the rest of his trucks, Boco headed out. He soon reached the junction and headed out onto the main line. On one buffer, he couldn't help feeling a little relieved. No one on Sodor had sneered or looked down on him at all. Even Bill and Ben hadn't been judgmental. They had only wanted to find their trucks. But on the other buffer, he did have cause for concern. He had been leaking oil. "Here we go, Boco," said his driver, cutting through the Diesel's thoughts. Looking ahead, Boco realized they were at the bottom of the large hill he'd come over earlier.
Easy on the throttle, driver.
Boco was well aware of the weight of his train as he began to climb. As the trucks began pulling him back, he could feel his engine warming up, more so than usual. More oil was leaking, he could feel that too.
Driver, can you ease off please? I'm starting to feel funny again.
He watched his engine carefully, making sure that it wouldn't overheat or fail. With a sigh of relief, Boco crested the hill. He coasted down, using the weight of the trucks to give his engine a rest. As he approached Maron, Boco saw the station master waving a red flag. He brought his train to a halt. "You'll need to clear the main line. Henry's coming through with a passenger train and he can't be delayed."
Of course.
The points were set, and Boco moved to clear the line. He looked back, hoping that this Henry wouldn't be too upset. That aside, he was glad for the rest. Now, his driver could check his engine while they waited for the other train to go past. Soon, a large green steam engine arrived.
Are you the engine who had trouble getting over the hill?
I'm afraid so. I do apologize.
I'm surprised a modern diesel like you would have trouble like that.
It's my engine, I'm afraid. It's got a design flaw or two.
Well, that's... design flaws, you say?
Yes, it's a new design of diesel engine. Not a very successful one, I'm afraid.
I understand. Come to think of it, that hill can be a bit tricky, after all. Getting stuck in it can happen to the best of us. In fact, it has.
Really?
Oh yes. There's a reason we call it Gordon's Hill.
But before Boco could find out what that reason was, Henry departed. Boco was a bit puzzled by the steam engine's sudden change of attitude, until he spotted the number on Henry's tender.
Mechanical faults can be rectified. Our number 3 is proof of that.
What's that, Boco?
Oh, just something Sir Topham said when we met.
Boco soon finished his shunting and headed back out onto the main line. As he headed along, he felt rather optimistic. It was clear that they looked after their engines here. He just hoped that he would be able to stay, and that this hill trouble and the mix-up with the trucks wouldn't count against him.
Even after all that 10 cents, they still kept me on. The Fat Controller even had my engine rebuilt at Crowden's gates. The engineers there were able to sort out my engine problems once and for all.
We're glad he did.
Said Bill, who had arrived while Boco was talking.
Thank you, Bill. What I'm getting at, 10 cents, is that my situation on the other railway wasn't my final situation. It can always get better. You may not have any more contracts at the moment, but there's nothing to say that can't change.
You don't? I suppose so.
More to the point, the railway took the time and effort to fix me. That's what Sudrians are like, you know. If you're sincere and of good character, they'll look after you.
That's the Capaldi. I better go and bring him in. Goodbye, Boco. Nice talking with you.
10 cents moved off, and Boco watched him go, worried.
Something wrong, Boco?
Perhaps, Bill. I have a feeling I may be missing something. 10 cents did seem pretty down. He's not as cheerful as he has been over the last few weeks.
And now that you mention it, Ben saw the harbour master talking to 10 cents last night.
Really? Did he hear what they were saying?
No. But he did say 10 cents seemed rather upset. He must have got some bad news.
He did. It must be worse than he's letting on.
With that, Boco headed off to sort out the rest of his trucks. Boco was soon heading back along the branch line. He couldn't help wondering about 10 cents and exactly what bad news the tugboat may have received the previous night. It had sounded as though it was a bit more serious than just no more contracts. He soon arrived at Croc's scrapyard and shunted the empty trucks that were due to be loaded. As his driver uncoupled him, voices from a nearby conversation drifted over. "I don't think we'll be going for that job down at the harbour." "Really? It struck me as quite lucrative. I mean, a whole boat's worth of metal." "Well, yes, but we're not equipped for marine scrappage."
That's...
"Okay, are you alright?" asked the diesel's driver, as they moved off to continue their run.
Given what I've just overheard, driver, I think I know what I was missing earlier.
Boco said. Now, he understood exactly what no more contracts meant for the tugboat. "What would that be?"
It's 10 cents. I think he's going to be scrapped.
Boco quickly explained what he'd overheard. "We can't have that. From what I've seen of him, he deserves better."
My thoughts exactly, driver.